Okay, thank you very much, my queen. And I believe you can hear me loud and clear, everyone.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I want to appreciate everyone that has taken out time to lecture us today. I would say I've really gained a lot, even after I've not been able to join for some time, but we give God the praise that I'm back now. I want to also thank, I can't recollect the name of that, our professor, the madam. Well, thank you for your lecture as well. And I want to call the other professor, maybe our health officer. I learned a lot in terms of some of the little mistake we do that we need to take care of because of our health. Having said that, I just quickly want to go into my presentation for today. And I believe that we are going to have a lot to take home. Now, I'm talking on the role of relationship in crisis management. We need to know, what do we mean when we refer to crisis management? And the truth is that at our age now, none of us that have never experienced one form of crisis or the other while coming up or growing up. So when we talk in terms of crisis management, it simply involves identifying the threats either to an organization or an individual. Or possibly, if you are looking at it from organization point of view, you'll be talking of the threats that affect the organization and even the stakeholders, those that are saddled with the responsibilities of ensuring the day-to-day activities of the organization and how to mitigate the harm of those threats. Now, that is crisis management. There are usually some certain threats that will affect whatever you intend to achieve. But we want to also look at importance of relationship in that crisis management. Now, strong relationship, they are very essential when it comes to crisis management. You must have strong relationship. Why? It will influence the preparedness, the way you respond, and your recovery phase. Now, what are the types of relationship that we can have in crisis management? I want to look at it from two different perspectives. Number one, internal relationship and external relationship in crisis management. Let me focus my attention more on an organization or a business setting, or let's just look at it from organizational point of view. So in terms of internal management, you'll be referring to the leadership and the employee. The leadership and the employee. Now, there must be trust and clear communication between them. If you have an organization, you have a business, and you don't trust your worker, and you don't communicate effectively with them, there's no way there will be that gap between the two of you. So there must be that trust and communication between the leadership and the employee in order to avoid the crisis. That is one. Then, still talking of the internal relationship, we talk about cross-departmental collaboration. There's no organization, there's no business you do, you have one unit or the other. Maybe those in the production section, those in the marketing, distribution, and the rest of them. So they must collaborate together. Where there is a break in communication, or where the channel of distribution of information is not clear to them, there will be issues. They might not know the actual quantity that has been produced or what they are supposed to sell based on your market research. They may not know. So there must be that cross-departmental collaboration between them. Then the last one I want to talk here is employee engagement. Involving the employee in crisis management is very important, because if they don't know what the organization is facing in terms of challenges or whatever is happening, if you keep it only to the management, and they are the operational people Of course, we know that we could have maybe 3 levels. You could have the top level, those responsible for strategic decision making, the middle level, the tactical operation, and you that make strategic decision. You now keep the information without disseminating it. It could be a critical issue or something that you unforeseen circumstances. And some of those junior workers, they may have a clue. They may know they are the one on the field. They may know some things that you don't know. Take, for example, maybe there's a drastic fall in the sales of the organization. And they know what the customers, the clients, what they are complaining of. And you are keeping it and you are just doing window dressing, or you are doing creative accounting, manipulating the figure to get what you want. And meanwhile, they know whatever is the issue. Even the so-called the issue between the fight even between the Israeli and those Palestinians. To resolve the issue, they still have to come to relationship in crisis management. At the end of the day, after all their bombing and whatever, ceasefire or whatever, at the end of the day, it is still relationship in crisis management they will use to solve it. Now, those are just the 3 major things we need to know under internal relationship when we talk of the crisis management: the leadership and employee, the employee engagement and cross-departmental collaboration or cooperation. But the major aspect that concerns virtually every one of us, no matter your region where you operate, is the external relationship in crisis management. This external relationship affects us directly. If an organization have issue with government policy or whatever they put in place, it will lead to increase in their prices, and that will affect your own purchasing power. By the time you are buying what you're supposed to buy at maybe $1, you are buying it $5. Is reducing your purchasing power. So under that external relationship, we have the customer and the client. There must be a good relationship. Now you can say, what is customer? They're the same, but there must be, the organization and the client, there must be a good relationship between them. So you must maintain transparency and trust so that you can preserve your reputation as for the reputation of your organization. And if an organization has reputation, then the issue of loyalty will not be a problem. Your clients or your customer, your prospective buyers, they'll be loyal to you because they know this organization has a standard, has its own reputation. Whatever you buy from them, whatever is their products, will meet up with best practices or quality control. They will meet up with it. Now, that is for external relationship. That's number one. Then you talk about the supplier and the partners. You can never have a program or an organization and you do everything on your own. Even if you want to go into a production of a particular product and you start planting, as at the time you start planting, you cannot commence production. You might need to even purchase some of the raw material outside, pending when
I hope we are still enjoying this teaching. We will soon finish.
your own produce will be at the expense of the organization. And that means that you must be proactive so that they don't capitalize on your simplicity or the laxity of your accounting system or your monitoring system.
Okay. Once again, I want to appreciate all those that have really
Now,
stood by
the
us.
other one that is crucial, which is number.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Some of these online
I know.
sales that Google. Hello?
Yeah, continue. We can hear. Yeah, hello.
We
can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, let me go ahead. Now, what I was saying that the media aspect, which has to do with the online sales. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you. Oh.
Okay. Now that's number 3, the media aspect that has to do with the online sales that people do.
Yeah, we can see
And
you. We can see you.
yes, can you see me now?
Not yet. Okay, we can see.
Okay. I
Yes,
know
continue. Continue.
the call was trying to come in and disrupt him. I had to cut the call off. That was what
Okay.
happened.
Okay.
Now, the media, the organization has to manage the media relationship so that they can control the narratives and disseminate accurate information. This media, it is very easy. I could just be in my comfort zone and just do a record of what is not real and post it on the internet. And before you know it, some people will accept it as facts. So, and sometimes some people can even do on behalf of another organization. They'll do it on behalf of the organization just to pull down their sales. They can even say that one particular product, if you take it, it will give you running stomach, and post it. Before you know it, people begin to post. That is media for you. Now, but in crisis management, an organization must monitor that media aspect. Then the last aspect under the external relationship is government and regulatory bodies. And that one is everywhere. Government from time to time, I can give an example. Why is it that at the beginning of the year, everybody is looking for what is the budget of the year? What are government policy? What do they intend to do? Every organization wants to know. The moment it's December, we don't know what this government wants to do next year. What will be their way? What will be the fiscal policy and all those stuff? So because government regulation kickstarts the economy, you must know what they have in plan. If it's against what you are planning, then you have to tune your own in line so that there will not be crisis in terms of your finance. Then community and public, of course, we know these days, well, whatever you must have a good will, you must be good within the community you operate. Of course, because you are producing a product, you must not destroy the community. And that is why we're talking about green economy, social responsibility, and all those, some of the developing countries like where we are, that organizations don't account for the impact on the economy. Now, these days, the financial regulation disclosure is now mandating it that they must disclose it in their financial statement. What are you doing to that economy? So in terms of crisis management, the internal relationship matters, the external also matter. I think I need to point out here that those internal relationships, they are controllable relationship within the organization, meaning that the organization can control it. In fact, you can say they are endogenous variables, those factors that they have control over. While the external relationship, they don't have control too much over, but they can reduce it to the barest minimum. They can look for ways of trying to not have much impact of negative impact of those external relationships. You can't control government policy. They can just decide that they want to stop the importation of certain material, and maybe that material is your major material. You can't control it, but you can, if you are proactive enough and you'll be able to study their fiscal policy, their monetary policy, what they want to do, you can look for other ways of getting your product. So that is for the external relationship. Then the phases of crisis management. Crisis don't just start. It will not just start. The Israeli and the Gaza, all those things doesn't just start one day. It did not start the day they start bombing. It's just like you want to plant a seed of corn. You put it inside the soil. And you know, by the law of nature, as long as you are watering it, you are taking care of it, it's going to germinate and become a corn. That is crisis management. So there is the aspect of pre-crisis phase. There's what is called the pre-crisis phase, and the crisis is, let me just take one after the other. Phases of crisis management and the role of relationship in that pre-crisis phase or stage. What do we mean by pre-crisis stage? The time that whatever is causing the issue has not occurred before. Now, as at that time that the crisis has not really happened, maybe two communities are having issue, which is now open, or even a school that a child stab someone or even take a gun to happen, it becomes a crisis. But what are the measures taken in place to prevent any occurrence? What are the proactive measures that you are thinking ahead? What if that you put in place? So under the pre-crisis phase, we have risk assessment and planning. In whatever we are doing in life, you must look at the risk assessment and planning. Even though if you want to rent a property, maybe you relocate to a new place, you should study the risk assessment and the planning of the area. There are some, every country, there are some areas they are prone to violence. So what are you doing there? And you are not too agile, you can't move like before, you are not too young, and you don't like noise and all those ones. You look at the risk assessment in whatever you want to do. So under that risk assessment, you need to collaborate with the stakeholders to identify what are the potential risks or what that the community or the area has been having. Don't just because you want to go into partnership with maybe a foreign person and you need a vast acres of land and you just take them to a place that is very cheap, not knowing the history, not knowing what's going to be the likely problem there. So please let us know that under the pre-crisis phase, we need to look at the risk assessment. It will enable us to make an informed decision. Any decision you make as a person that is not informed, you are likely to pay dearly for it later. So let us be conscious of risk assessment in whatever we do. Even just like our professor was talking about eating certain food, he is conscious of the risk assessment by taking certain food, by not taking certain food. So let us go in that line. Then we talk about training and drills. Now, when you talk of training, that is, you are referring to you have to conducting joint training section to build a cohesive among the community or the team. Anything crisis, it doesn't, one person can, it's not usually, unless it's health crisis that involve only one person. But if it has to be community, it takes two to tango. So you need to have a section with the two parties. Call the Zeri, call the police. What are the issues? Do a critical reasoning. It will not be a win-win bargain. It is a win and lose bargain when it comes to crisis management. You don't expect to have your way all the time. So you have to have a section with the two parties and look at the integrity of the matter. Be objective. Don't be biased. Don't support anyone. Just be sure that this is what necessitated what is happening. Okay, if this was what happened, what can we do? Who is going to forfeit one thing or the other? I could remember there was a time they have issue, I think Nigeria and Bakassi and the rest of that. During Obasanjo time, they had to leave some of those community in the Calabar area for them, just for peace to reign. So sometimes in crisis management, it is not a win-win situation. It is a win and lose. One is gaining, one is losing under crisis management. And that should be done under the pre-crisis phase. And the last one there is building trust and credibility. You can never rule that out. You want to resolve problem, you intervene as an intermediary to resolve the problem, and the agreement reached, you did not fulfill it. And you are coming next time and you expect them to believe you, it won't work that way. There must you must establish a track record of transparency and reliability with all the stakeholders, not even the one you know. You must be transparent to all, not just that God sees you, let everybody sees you as well. That is under the pre-crisis stage. Then we have there is what we call a crisis response phase. Crisis response phase. And we're talking, and that simply refers to the time that the crisis has already happened or is still going on, just like we have between Israeli and the Palestinian people now. This time, that the stage they are in now is the crisis response stage. And what do we need under that stage that it has really occurred? Communication strategy. That's number one thing we need. Communication strategy. What are we referring to here? You are going to be using established relationship to ensure timely and effective communication. What do I mean by established relationship? I keep on referring to the Israeli cases now. When you talk of established relationship, it may not be the relationship of those people that are involved. It might be that they might have some stake, how do I put it? They might have some elder statesmen, maybe in that country, that they want to feel they can use to intermediate, they can come as an intermediary between them. Or you can even go to other countries that can also come in and intervene so that they will resolve the issue. Of course, in the news this morning at the International Court of Justice, I think they were on some other issue, telling them there is genocide and the rest of them. All those steps they are taking, they are in crisis stage, trying to resolve the situation. It's communication. Spirituality does not solve crisis problem. It's not prayer, 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 prayer. You have to be factual. They must communicate. Hello? So you have to be factual. Then the last stage under the crisis response phase, we're talking about the team coordination. Team coordination. Now, ensuring that all the parties that are involved, they are all aligned and they are working together to achieve a common goal. When you talk of team coordination, those that are intervening, that are coming to resolve the issue, they must be together. It must not be at their own interest. I don't want to be subjective here now. Like even the US, when they were into some certain, when they saw something, they had to stop, maybe reduce the number of the ammunition they are sending to them. But they felt that you are breaking some of these international laws. And at the end of the day, it will backfire on us. This is part of the thing we're referring to here as team coordination. Of course, will you say they shouldn't sell their products when they have been buying from them? They're in business, even though at the detriment of human health. But they need to balance it. That is what I'm referring to as team coordination. Don't favor one part to the other. And lastly, the post-crisis phase. After the Israeli and whatever, even if God help them, everything is resolved now, then they will now be faced with the reality on ground, which is just the post-crisis phase. And under this post-crisis phase, I want to look at three major things here. Now, in fact, even if it's in terms of relationships, let's say you have crisis in relationship, the team break up and you are coming together, you will experience these three stages, these 3 points I want to make under this post-crisis stage. Number one, recovery and support. There must be recovery and there must be support. You can't stand alone. The support does not necessarily mean finance. Most of the time when we hear support, we think it's money, 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 money. Most of the time, it's of course, money could be involved. For the war issue, there must be money, reconstruction and all those stuff. Even to excavate some of those destroyed buildings will cost a lot. But recovery and support, providing support to affected stakeholders. If it's an organization, you must provide support in terms of finance, in terms of advice, in terms of bringing in your technical knowledge so that they will know the way to quickly resolve the issue, so that to avoid a lot of epidemic sickness and the rest happening there. And in providing in your recovery and support, there must be transparency. You must communicate whatever you want to do. Don't just say you are doing this. Let them know. so that they will be able to juxtapolate it and see whether truly you are doing what you are supposed to do. Then the second one is evaluation and learning. Engage, evaluation and learning, you engage with stakeholders as well. You can see that I keep on saying stakeholder. What do I mean by all those that are involved? Both the injured, the one that is not injured, all of them, the stakeholders, you engage them to evaluate the response and you gather feedback for future case. Why are you evaluating? You want to evaluate possibly the damages that has been done. Another thing is that you want to evaluate the causes of the problem so that you can prevent future occurrence. And lastly, you rebuild and strengthening relationship. Now, the mere fact that the two countries have been at loggerhead, even after all said and done, they resolve it, does not mean that later in future they may not have things to do together. They may not be enemy for life, and they can even be enemy for life. So in a crisis management, in relationship in crisis management, there's room for rebuilding and there's room for strengthening relationship so that such occurrence will not happen again. I have some cases here in terms of organization, but I might just mention one or two. But the major cause of the problem is initial poor handling. Causes of crisis management, initial poor handling. When something happens and the person that is trying to resolve it is not objective enough, then it can escalate to become something that is uncontrollable, just like this Israeli and all those stuff. It could have been a give and give away. If somebody wants to take a part of your property, is it not better than you are killing all your citizens? So sometimes in crisis management is a win and lose situation. And the most funniest thing is that after all said and done, after all the bombing and killing, they will still come and they will still, they might even succeed some of those things to each other. But the damage has been done. Those that are dead cannot be called back to life. So poor management or handling or conflict resolution will affect, usually lead to crisis management. Finally, I want to talk on the best practice for managing relationship in crisis management. I will just give us as bullet points the best crisis for managing relationship in crisis management. Now, number one, you must establish a clear communication channel. Where there is a clear communication channel, you have a means of telling them, please let us have a ceasefire, let us do this and this. There is hope that the conflict or the crisis will be resolved. But where there is no communication, everybody is just doing his own, testing his power, it will not be resolved. Then number two, you must develop and maintain open line of communication with all stakeholders without any fear or favor. All stakeholders, either you like them, either you don't like them, either it's your next door neighbor country or not. All the stakeholders that you know can affect you negatively, you must open your border to them and let there be ways of resolving the issue. Then another point is that you must ensure messaging is consistent and transparent and responsive. You must keep on getting information, passing out information, any information you have access to. If your enemies are going towards this place, you must disseminate information so that people will be alert in crisis management. Then, of course, we've said a lot about build and maintain trust. If you don't trust the other person, there's no way you'll be able to rely on the information the person wants or what they are saying. So there must be all those things. And let me just pick two more points, then I round up from there. Then you must collaborate with stakeholders. Now, you keep on seeing that I'm saying stakeholders, because the crisis emanated from the stakeholder not doing their responsibility. The stakeholders, where they refuse to do their responsibility, that is when the crisis in relationship will escalate. So finally, I want to say that the effective is significant and also enhanced by strong relationship. To manage crisis in a relationship, you must have a strong relationship with those that are involved in the crisis and even with the outsider. And I'm going to end with this. I'm ending with this, and maybe in the Holy Bible, those of you that read it, I think I know of a story of somebody that either had a small piece of oil, and the prophet came to her, the husband is dead, and asked her to go and borrow, jar of oil or kegs, what we call keg now. And let's assume that she was able to get just 20 kegs. And as long as the prophet was pouring the oil in the keg, the oil never finished. Now, what am I driving at? Success in life or management of crisis is both vertical and horizontal. Now, your success in life is a function of your vertical relationship with your God or the God Almighty, and also the horizontal. Vertical is straight and horizontal is this way. You must first of all settle you and your God first. Then your horizontal is there, your neighbors. If they were able to give that woman 20 keg of empty cakes, it's because she has good relationship with the neighbors. If she does not have, they say, what do you want to do? No, we want to use our own cake. So the people you know, the people you relate with, the stakeholders in whatever you are doing, they are also part of the people that should be involved in the resolving crisis in relationship. Thank you very much. That is where I want to stop for today. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador Odukoya Olaniyi. Thank you for contributing to us. I know that we've not really catch up because you've been having your exams, but now you are back. You have a lot to do. So I want to appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for sharing the very valuable topic you've shared with us this afternoon. And I want to say thank you and we appreciate you. Please let us know the evenings that you will be available as well as morning. Like I said, we've been rescheduling a lot in your name, but because you have to prepare for your exams, so we've not really get in touch with you. So now that you finish your exam, and now that you are back again to this section, please let me know from now, both evening and morning, when you will be available for those topics that we have scheduled for you. Thank you so much. Any questions, any contributions from?
All right, ma'am.
Yes, I think Ambassador Joshua is back again. So, but before then, let me welcome Dr. Samina to speak to us and to ask questions if she has. Please welcome Dr. Samina.